Hi everyone, here's an update on my Sencore CR70. This is the one with the stuck meter, and as I swing over here, well, there you go, there's another CR70. A fellow YouTuber looked at my last video and he happened to say that he had a problem with his CR70. The voltages from the data cable drop out every once in a while, when just unexpectedly, when he's testing the tube, but the rest of the unit is supposed to be good and the meter is supposed to be 100%. So we went back and forth and decided on a price. It was about as much as I paid for my original one, but I got this one for a really good price, my original one, and this one for about the same price. And if you add them both together, then you could probably get a good CR70 on eBay for about the same price. And they do go higher too. So I don't feel like I spent too much money, though it wasn't cheap either. So what I plan on doing is I'll show you that this meter on this new one is really good. And take this out and just place it in mine. And I have a spare tube. Well, not a spare tube, but I have a cheap TV that I can sacrifice the tube if need be to test this meter. I guess what I'll probably do is monitor the filament voltages first without hooking up to the TV. Make sure that the filament set jives with the meter and the digital voltmeter, and make sure that, you know, if it's 6.3 volts, it really is 6.3 volts before I actually hook it up to a picture tube. I guess the next step we'll do is plug this in, play around with the filament settings and the filament voltages here, and see if the meter does swing nice and smoothly up and down. So we'll take and plug this guy in. This is the new one. Now, before I go any further, if you remember in my previous video, I had these F1 and F2 on the same position. That was shorting the output, and that was a big no-no. So now I have this all set up for the universal adapter, which the tubes that I'll be using it on, I would imagine, would all need the universal adapter. So these settings I didn't change. So the first thing I did is on the new one is I set these settings the same. So now I got nothing to worry about. Alright, so let's go turn it on. Okay. And I'll zoom in on the meter here. And I'll play around with the filament set control here. And you can see right here. And we'll increase the voltage and go, there's the end. Alright, nice and smooth. Bring it down a few notches. Bring it up about halfway. There we go. And you can see right here, no sticking, no nothing. Let's bring it down to 0. Okay. Turn it off, the unit off, see if it goes down to 0, and indeed it does. It's lined up perfectly. So I think we got a winner here. This meter, very simple to do this. Just a few screws, comes right out, really easy. Put it in here, and then we'll give my original one a shot. Before I take apart this new CR70, there's one thing I wanted to bring up. It has the manual, and I hear some of these manuals are different than others. Some have more information. So I think what I'll do is I'll just combine these two and see if there's a difference between the two manuals. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of the parts in this. If you guys are interested in some of these parts, please let me know. Like I said, the voltages do drop out once in a while. He seems to think that it's the data cable itself and not the internal workings, but I can't guarantee that. Now what he did is, the reason he sold it to me is he bought a CR7000, and so that's why this was available. So the CR70, according to him, was known for having problems with the data cable. So but anyways, I'm going to try to get mine going, and one thing that I wanted to show you, it all has all the universal adapters. So if any of you need them, please let me know. Okay, let's start taking this puppy apart. This is just one screw in the front. I'm not going to take that one all the way off because there's 4 screws on the bottom. 2 of them are missing. My other CR70, all of them were missing on the bottom. Okay. And there's 2 Phillips screws back here. One here and one here. The other ones are rivets, but these actually hold on to the electronics. This one is missing, so I only got this one to take off. Okay, take these cables out of here. Now this should just pull out. I notice that these catch a little bit on this rim, and it's a little tricky getting them out, but they come out okay. There. There we go. CR70. Side. Here's the underside of one of these guys, and basically all I got to do is there's a screw here and a screw to here to take out, and then these 2 nuts, and it comes right out. I think before I take these off though, I'm going to label with a little pencil plus and minus, so I know how it goes. I did that with my other one just for reference. Okay, those terminals are marked. I'm not going to loosen these nuts because now that I loosen them, I can see what happened. I don't know, for some reason, what they usually do on meters is they'll have, because the meter connects internally here to these posts. And what they usually have is they'll have one nut down here. Okay, that will hold this from moving. And then they'll put the terminal on top of that, and then another nut. So when you loosen the top nut, the whole thing doesn't loosen. Well, that isn't how they made this. So it's kind of goofy. If I take off the nut, then the whole thing is going to probably drop right inside the meter. I don't want that. So instead of doing it this way, I'm not gonna loosen these nuts. Instead, I'm just gonna unsaw the wires. Just be just as easy, and that way I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so these tighten back up again. tube. Okay, gotta remember this side has a ground plug on it. It wants to come out. Room with my fingers in there. Oh, it'll come out when I take the meter out. And I heard a lock washer too. And there we go. Good meter. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the video as far as like taking my other one apart, putting this one in. I'm going to come back when I got it all together, then we'll go ahead and test the filament set voltages, make sure they jive with the meter and a digital voltmeter, and then I think I might be ready to test the tube. Okay, well, I have the new meter in my old machine. I have set up this thing for the universal adapter right here, and I have F1 and F2 for the filaments connected to my digital voltmeter set on DC volts. Now let's go ahead and turn it on. Alright. Now I have it for minimum voltage, filament voltage, and it reads 0.6 volts. And on the meter, let me have my glasses on here. See, on the meter it looks like it's about 0.6 volts. Zoom in here, maybe you can see this. I won't concentrate on the digital voltmeter, I'll just concentrate on the analog meter. And we'll go ahead together and I'll tell you if everything matches up. That's a little zoomed in a little too far. Okay, I hope you can see that. Okay, let me try to zoom in just a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to crank up the voltage more up to the 6 volt range and then adjust it, the digital voltmeter, until it says 6.3 volts. Okay, 6.32, 3, okay, close enough, 6.32. And if you look at the meter, it says about 5.9. Now this might be pretty typical, I don't really know. There's no load on this thing. It's just the digital voltmeter. But it's a little bit off. Now I'm going to set the Sencore CR70 to this red line right here, which means 6.3 volts. And I'll read it on the meter. Okay, right about there. Okay. Now my digital meter, I know you don't see it, but just trust me, it says 6.7 volts. Okay, so it's like 0.4 volts off, just a little under a half a volt. Now whether that really makes a big difference in the general scheme of things, I don't know. Could use your feedback on that and see if there's anything to worry about. But in the meantime, I think what I'm going to do here is when I'm testing tubes and I'm setting the filament voltage, just to be on the safe side, I think what I'll do is I'll go by the digital voltmeter, because I know that's more accurate, and then not worry about it. So let's try a higher voltage. Let's try, this looks like it's probably 12.6 volts, this red line here. And let's set it for 12.6 volts and see what the meter says. Okay, my digital voltmeter says 13.08. Here you go. 13.06 volts. A little bit off. Not significantly. I'm sure it's not going to hurt anything. I mean, I've seen the Anderson TV. When he has a weak tube, him crank up the voltage like a volt higher, you know, just to heat it up and try to rejuvenate the cathode. But so, you know, 0.4 volts I'm probably not going to worry about, but 0.4 volts may make the tube itself read better than it really is, because it's a little off. So but the amount of difference is probably not going to be that much. I think everything is copacetic. The big hurdle is over. The meter is nice and smooth. I can trust it now. It's not jumpy. And I think next I'm going to try actually testing a tube. Okay, here is our sacrificial lamb, so to speak. And I'll be trying the CR70 with first. I got this locally fairly cheap. I think it was like about 30 bucks. It's an old Crosley, black and white. And if I remember right, when I looked inside, it looked like the picture tube was replaced and it's fairly new. So I'm expecting high emissions with this. But before we go any further, I wanted to show you a fairly new acquisition that I got. Up here, if you look, there's that old transoceanic I want to restore. There it is. It's a Panther TV Light. Now, if you don't know what a TV lamp is, okay, basically the old TVs were pretty dark picture. And so you wouldn't want all the lights on in your house at night when you're watching TV. But you want some light. You don't want to fall, go into the bathroom or something. So they made these fancy lamps. How it works is, come over here. I don't know if you can see that well, but there's a cutout on the side. Here's the switch. It's flooding out the light, but you can see it there. It's a fish tank lamp. And the fish tank lamp that was in there was bad. It had dig code, and it was 1957. So I know this is at least from 1957, and probably a lot earlier than that. But anyways, it's pretty cool. It's daytime now. If it was nighttime in here, it would look great. But you get the idea. So you'd have those on top of your TVs. And even here, if you look, let me turn a little bit here. You won't see this in camera, but it's got these like clear bead eyes that some of the light shines through at night, so they kind of glow. That's really cool. So anyways, nice TV lamp. Always wanted one. That one's a cool one. It's like the day, it's like brand new. It's never been cracked, chipped, anything. It's perfect. And I think I only paid a little over 20 bucks for it. So, and I saw one on eBay for 140 bucks, but they never sold it. But it's probably worth more than 20 bucks anyways. I like it. So anyways, back to the TV. Let's turn this sucker around and find out what picture tube it's got in it, and then we'll hook up the CR70 and test it. Well, here's the back of the TV, and when I got this, I noticed that this card was in here. It says Dumont television picture tubes. So I'm pretty well 100% sure that this is a replacement tube, but we're going to have a second plan here, because when I touch the back of this base, look how loose it is. There's no way I want to take that connector off without first sealing this bead with some kind of sealer. So it's time for alternate plan here. I do have another TV that I can try, and a little difficult to get to, but it's another. I got it from the same people I got this one from, so about the same price. I think it was about 30 bucks. This one is a Bendix. I don't remember what model number. We'll give this one a spin around and see what kind of tube it's got, and hopefully the base is okay. Then we can go ahead and test this one with the tester. Well, there's my Bendix TV. Okay, there is a problem with this picture tube too. And it's the same problem, but it's not as bad. I don't know if you can see it here. It is slightly loose, but I think it's to the point where I can very carefully, with any luck. It is a little bit loose though. There, I got it. Okay. Maybe you can see it now. It's loose, but it's nothing as bad as like the other one. So both of these are going to have to be sealed. But anyways, next thing to do is find out what kind of picture tube it has. Okay, on the back of a picture tube, you count the pins clockwise fashion. And you start to the right of the keyway. So there would be pin 1, 2. This one doesn't have a pin in it, but you still count it. So that would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 don't have pins, 10, 11, and then 12. 12 pins. So, if I look at my settings, F1 goes to 1, F2 goes to 12. Here's 1. F2. Okay, it goes to 11. One goes to 2. G1, pin 2, and lastly G2 to 10. Which is this guy right over here. Alright, it's all hooked up. Plug her in and give her a test. I forgot to mention the negative balance should be set on 36 volts, which it is. So I think we're ready to start. I'll set the filament set variable pot all the way counterclockwise. It's a 6.3 volt filament, so I'll set that on 6. Turn it on. My digital meter that I said I was going to hook up says 3.1 volts. I don't see any filament glow yet. Let's bring up the voltage. Oh yeah, my digital meter says 3.2 volts. This says about 3.3, 3.4 volts. So anyways, bring it up to 6.3. Now with a load on it, it jives. It's funny, my digital meter says 6.27 volts, and that analog meter says 6.3 volts. So I guess maybe it does make a difference if there's a load on it, which probably means that the filament is okay. And indeed, if you look over here, I don't know if we're going to be able to see this. It's got a lot of crud on it. Oh, you can see it just a little bit there. Let's see if I can move the camera. I'm going to have to take it off the tripod. There, you can see it glowing inside there with the pins. So we've got filament. The CR70. Okay. Let's check for HK shorts. Good. G1 shorts. Good. Cut off. Looks like the cutoff is good. And no emissions. It's slowly creeping up. I can already tell by the way this thing is running. And to me, it seems like this CR70 is working fine. Picture tube may be weak. It's still climbing. I'm going to let this sit for about half an hour and then come back. Well, it's only been 4 minutes, and look how far it is in the good zone. So I think we have a good 16 kp4 here. I'll let it sit there a little bit longer. Hey, let's try the life test now, even though it's only been 4 minutes. It's dropping. But we'll let it cook a little bit more. I think I'll try it, like I said, in a half an hour, so that'd be about 26 minutes from now. And we'll see if this life test is any better and how much higher it goes in the good zone. But it looks like it's a really good tube, so another worthwhile TV project to do. I haven't really looked over it though. I don't know if the flyback's good, the transformers and all that stuff, but the tube looks good. It hasn't been a half an hour yet, but I was just noticing something when I was just playing around with this thing. It's got about 12 more minutes before it's a half an hour. I was wondering how this life test worked. Now, I just assumed that it cut off the voltage to the filament all the way. But if you put it on filament set, and if I press it in, it's down to 4.7 volts, and that's what my digital voltmeter says to 4.7. So it cuts down the juice to the filament by a couple of volts, but it doesn't kill it all the way. So, anyways, I don't know if all you guys knew that, but just something I noticed. I'm still going to let this come back in a half an hour, but I wanted to show you that doing the life test, it drops down a lot slower than it did. So I think this tube is going to be just fine. I'll be back in a few minutes. Well, it's been about exactly half an hour, and it really hasn't climbed that much more. Let's check the life test. Not bad. The longer I seem to cook this tube, the better the life test. Well, I'm pretty confident that this CR70 is just about 100%. And now I am willing to hook it up, I believe, to the 7JP4 that goes into my Motorola VT71. I also have an Admiral 19A11, and I'm pretty sure, 99% sure, that it also uses the 7JP4. So I may be testing that too, depending on how much time I have. But the next step, let's go test my 7JP4. Now that I know everything jives, I have confidence now that under load, the filament, the voltage does jive with my meter. Everything seems to be running fine. The cutoff reads, it'd be help if I had it on cutoff, huh? Cutoff reads good. Emissions test. Like I said, the filament set seems to be working fine. Universal adapter, everything seems to be working fine. This thing's been running for half an hour now with no problems, no issues. The meter, the new meter, is just running great, smooth as can be. So I think I'll go pull out my 7JP4 and we'll give that one a test. Okay, now I have my 7JP4 from my VT71 up over there over the chassis. I double checked all my connections. This is a scope tube, which means it has horizontal and vertical deflection plates that scan the beam. So this is supposed to be on scope. Grid bias is 68 minus 68 volts. And filament voltage set at 6 volts, and I'll turn it up to 6 now. And I've got the potentiometer turned all the way down, so it'll be a lower voltage than 6. This is on filament set. Gun select is on scope. And all these settings are set for the universal adapter. So I think we're ready to go. Wish me luck. Okay. Says about 3.5 volts. Let's go turn it up. And we'll turn it up to about I need my glasses. Yeah, it's a little under 6 volts now. I'm going to see if the tube is glowing at all. It sure is hard to see. They have this. Let me zoom in for you. And let me kill the lights too. My battery's almost dead. Good news, I can already see filament glow. And turn it up to 6.3 volts. There. And I'm going to have to take the camera off the tripod so you can see the filament glow. There, you can see the filament glowing. Good news. Okay, we'll continue. I better hook up a power supply to my camera though. Okay, my camera's going to keep burning now. I got a power supply hooked up to it. And let's continue on with this. It's running at 6.3 volts. Okay, right about there. Alright. Testing for HK shorts. Good. Alright. G1 shorts. Good. Cut off. Well, that's all the way up. I can get it past to the right of the cutoff, but you can see all the travel I have in this control. It doesn't cut off until the very most clockwise position, but it does. People with 7 JP4s out there, maybe you can give me a hint if that's within the ballpark or not. Let's check out emissions. Whoa. Hey, I couldn't be happy about this. Look at that. And this tube has only been running for, I don't know, less than 5 minutes. Went right up there. Cool. Let's try the life test. Whoa! I got an excellent 7 JP4 here. Look at this. It's been about 15 seconds and it still hasn't gone down. Well, I'll tell you what. I think I have an excellent running 7 JP4 here. And I couldn't be happier. Oh, now it almost makes me want to pull out my Motorola 19A11 and test that one too. Kind of makes me almost suspicious though why the life test would be that good. It is dropping down the voltage. It's 6.3. It's about 4.7. So it's working. Look at this, I'll hold it down. Well, I'll tell you what, this tube tests strong. Well, this is just fantastic news. Absolutely fantastic. Not only have I got my Sencore CR70 working, my 7 JP4 tests perfectly. According to this, it's like a new tube. The only thing that's strange here, though, is the cutoff. It works right. Well, as a matter of fact, yeah, it's going a little bit higher than the cutoff mark. Now, if I crank it all the way to the right, it wasn't doing that. It was making it, but it was about, say, about just to the right of it, like about there. But now if I turn it all the way, it does go a little bit higher. Maybe it's a function of the tube running after so long, but the cutoff is working, and the emissions, that's just fantastic. Here, let's put this cutoff right where it's supposed to be here. Now, if my Motorola 19A11 tests anywhere near this good, then, man, I've got it made. For my VT71, I've already got, I tested 4 bad tubes. They were on the way. B. Anderson TV told all of us that the hardest part of restoring these electrostatically driven horizontal and vertical elements is that they're driven with high voltage sawtooth waveforms, and there's 6,000 volts running through these capacitors. Okay. Now, the problem is there's only one source for 6,000 volt caps for this particular chassis, and it's just radios, but they only carry up to 6,000 volt capacitors, and that is also the voltage of the waveform. So you're really running the capacitors at its limit. So ideally what you want to do, but there's no sources, unless you look real hard like I did and spend about 2 or 3 days, I found a source where some of those high voltage caps I got, I believe it was at least 8 kV, it might have been 10 kV, but the other ones were rated, I was really lucky, 16 kV. So that's way overkill. So they ought to work really nice. And so anyways, I'm getting excited about restoring this VT71 now that I know the picture tube's in that good a shape. I don't know about the high voltage coil in here though. I haven't done any testing or anything like that. And I don't have a tester to test these anyways. But anyways, it's looking good. I haven't checked the resistors for out of tolerance. I'm sure a lot of them have drifted up. And anyways, enough talking about that. I just wanted to show everybody that this Sencore is working fine now. I have a great 7JP4 for my VT71, and I'll tell you what, I couldn't be happier. If it's easy enough to do, I'm going to pull out my Motorola 19A11. If I run out of tape or out of ambition, because I got a bunch of stuff to do, then I'll put it off and I'll just say bye now. But if I come back, then we'll be testing the Motorola 19A11 too, because it has a 7JP4, I'm pretty sure. So, well, you don't see me in the next few frames, then I'm going to call it quits for now, and thanks for watching, everybody. I tell you what, I couldn't be happier. Bye. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I was just ready to unhook the Sencore CR70 when I saw this weird reflection on the front of the tube. See it right there? And the sides are clear, and I figured the light was bleeding in through somewhere, and I'm going all around it, and I can't make it not light up. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. So just for the curiosity wise, watch that spot. I'll turn off the CR70 now. It's gone. Turn it on. There it is. Now, I've seen a lot of B. Anderson TV videos of him troubleshooting using the CR70, but I've never seen it from the front, and I was just surprised to see that. So you can see right now this tube is emitting, and the electrons are making it to the surface, and it's glowing ever so softly in one spot. Or I'll turn off the CR70 again. Interesting, huh? Okay, this is my Admiral 19A11. I have it hooked up to the CR70. Double checked all my connections, and we're ready to go. Wish me luck again. Worked the first time. Okay. Set the voltage for 6.3 volts. About there. Check for filament glow. I don't think I'm going to be able to see any because there's all kinds of wrappings and stuff around there and I can't see. So we'll just have to continue with the testing and just assume that it's working. Okay, let's check for HK shorts. Good. G1 shorts, good. Cutoff. Look for cutoff control. Helps if I put the camera on the meter, huh? This one is behaving differently than the other 7JP4 from the Motorola VT71. It about 2/3 clockwise is where it's in the middle instead of almost all the way clockwise. Whether that makes a difference or not, I really don't know. But anyways, let's go check the emissions. Alright, good. Wow. It's been my lucky day. I mean, I've got the Sencore CR70 working. I tested one 7JP4. It works fantastic. And this one was working nice too. It's only been running for maybe 2 minutes. Let's check the life test. It's kind of early. About 5 seconds. 10. 15. Well, it's going down, but not bad at all. So, it looks like we have 2 good 7JP4s. Oh, well, folks, this is finally the end of the video. And I've had a good day. They won't all be like this, but this one is a good one. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks for your feedback. And if you have any more ideas or my parts, CR70, maybe I can recoup some of the costs there, like if you got a broken knob or other parts you might need, adapters, that kind of thing. The universal adapter, though, I don't think I'm going to let that one go, because if something happens to mine and I have a spare, the other adapters I don't think I'm going to have much use for, so those can probably go. And of course, you know that the meter is no good. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.